Hey guys, I thought it would be a good time to do a quick market update, to go through this week's earnings, to see who's going to report this week, but also to look at some of the market metrics to see where we're at, if we're still low for the small, medium and large cap stocks, and then to see, what just happened recently. So let's head straight into it. So let's look at the earnings for this week. So we do have a few, I would call it more medium to small cap stocks reporting this week that are definitely a lot of the favorites of retail investors. So we did have Corsair Gaming just coming out with earnings right now a few minutes ago. They've beat on revenue estimates, but I've seen the stock going down after hours, so we have to go into that a bit more in detail later to see what happened there. In terms of tomorrow, so we do have a few, a few favorites of retail investors like Canopy Growth reporting before the clock. But after close, we do have big names like Disney, Uber, Twilio, and others reporting there. So I'm definitely invested in Uber and Twilio. So for me, it's going to be an important one to watch here after the close tomorrow. And I do have some dry powder on the side to be able to get into Uber or Twilio if we learned anything from last week's earning is that a slight decline or slight reduction in guidance or lowering their guidance for 2022 could definitely cause the stock to fall anything north of 10% plus. So I'm ready to jump in if that's the case. Then further this week we have Coca-Cola, which a lot of people, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, a lot of people piled into those in those so-called uncertain times with interest rates about to be increased. So it's going to be interesting for a lot of people to see that. Twitter also reporting before the open. On Thursday, we have Affirm, which is a new retail investor's darling, I would call it. Buy now, pay later company. Interesting to see if they've actually had, massive growth or if they outperformed the analysts' estimates, because obviously we had the Christmas period, but also just to see how the company is doing in general, because it will probably positively affect companies like PayPal and Square Block. So yeah, Zillow definitely interesting. I'm invested in there. Interesting to see what they've done with they had planned to get out of the iBuying business, and they had announced that they already sold a lot of those old houses, remaining houses that they have still in their portfolio to competitors. So I will have to see if they were able to sell everything and what happened there. And obviously we do expect margins to come down or numbers to look kind of different, because revenue and cost of sales number will be smaller, but overall margin should actually increase going forward. But let's see, it's going to be interesting how investors are going to take that. Other than that, not much interesting upwork we have on Thursday after close as well. And then on Friday, I think it's more like all the old school businesses, value type investor businesses, not so interesting. But where are we right now? That's the question. Where are we right now in the market? So we did have, when we started off the year, pretty much from November last year, we actually had that drop happening in small to medium caps, which are here in blue and green. So we did have a huge drop, continued into 2022. Now at the lowest forward PE ratios since pretty much, not considering COVID dip, but let's say 2011, 12, and 2010. So definitely deep value territory here for a lot of small cap and mid cap. So if you can find a good quality company here, you're definitely able to snap them up on a deal here today. And it's just been continuing to go down on those fears of higher interest rates and other related fears relating to high growth companies that may not make any profits at the moment, because obviously as those interest rate gets higher, the valuations of those small to mid cap companies will come down. But interesting to see, we had a high flying PE for these large caps, so like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, and so on, or especially Facebook, Meta. We had them at all-time highs, reaching here at the beginning of 2022 and all throughout 2020, 2021. But what's interesting to see there is that we had a huge drop here, mainly caused by names like Facebook. We had Amazon correcting down, which then recovered on the earnings, but still stayed relatively flat. And we had other companies like Google going up on earnings, but then correcting again, slower down. So we did see that large caps now coming down. Things like PayPal obviously continue to drop, is now 50% off their all-time highs. I just released a video to PayPal and Meta if you want to check that out. I'm going to leave a link here. But that's interesting to see that we're also going into an interesting value territory here now for these large caps, now trading at below the 20 forward PE ratio. And then here today we saw that especially growth stocks have performed pretty well. So this might be a sort of an anticipation of this week's earnings, but also just recovering from those all-time lows, from those like really recent lows that were, as we saw, comparable to something like 2011, 2010 periods, which is extraordinary and which probably is not gonna go on for much longer. We did see some strong moves upwards here in growth stocks like Etsy, Corsair Gaming actually went up but then went down. We're gonna look into that shortly. But stuff like DocuSign, Chinese stocks keep recovering here, so the anticipation of Alibaba's earnings here play a role, but also fintechs like Affirm, as we just talked about, and SoFi, they're making a move up here. And obviously the larger caps as well, like Nvidia, Tesla, Apple, they all had a good day, pulling the overall index up and keeping the large caps at a good 20 forward PE ratio, but definitely seeing some recovery from those small to mid cap stocks, which is interesting to see. I feel like it's always like, okay, when the interest rates come out, the interest rate news come out, the market reacts like crazy, everything drops, and then a few days later, a week later, people start forgetting about it and they don't care as much anymore, and they actually start to look at the companies and realize that, oh my god, they're trading now so cheaply that they're actually gonna snap up some of those shares. And I think that's just what's happening here at the moment. So interesting to see that we've seen that recovery coming up, because we were just so low in the last few trading days here. So if we go, for instance, to Corsair Gaming, obviously we had a huge drop, like from the highs of 28 in September 21 to now all the way down to, we were as low as $17.68, which is crazy considering that Corsair is even at the $20 level. We're trading at a price to sales ratio of below 1. This is insane. Forward PE of 11, and now we had the earnings come out. I just see that it has recovered. So let's just quickly go through those earnings to see the headlines here. So net revenue recorded was $1.9 billion, an increase of 12% year over year. Gamer and creator peripherals segment net revenue was $650 million, increase of 20% year over year. I think this is a surprise to the upside. Gaming components increased to $1.25 billion, increase of 8% over the year. So net income of $100 million, which is good. It gives you a diluted per share earnings of $1.01, which obviously is a bit lower than last year, but that actually was expected due to that stay-at-home economy that happened last year, where a lot of gaming revenue and a lot of accessories was bought by people. Looking at good earnings here, adjusted EBITDA was $199 million compared to $213. So there's a slight reduction here, but I don't think that that would be too surprising to the analysts and to the investors, because obviously we had that already factored in, and the stock was already dropping 10, 20, 30% over the past 6 months. But I do have to dig into more into the details here later on, and I might make a video on Corsair as well. Let me know in the comments if you want one. But yeah, this was pretty much my market update video today. I hope you enjoyed those little short formats. Let me know in the comments below what you're buying and what you're getting into, what you're looking out for this week, and if there's anything in particular that you want me to cover. But yeah, would be awesome if you leave a like and subscribe here, and see you next time.